this mob person who they think is a mob person, but he's not.
I thought that was just the car salesman.
Yeah, he was just they think he's the mob for some reason.
Well, no, he did flash a gun.
Yeah, but like
I thought he was the mob too, because he flashed a gun.
He wasn't. He was just a regular car salesman who had a gun, I guess.
Yeah, and then he just finessed him for the bag. Like.
Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Del.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black media we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood. So, this week we watched The Parkers. The first season of The Parkers. Because as you know, when we do these TV reviews, we just watch the full first season and then stop. Yeah. So, here's the IMDb on it. Nikki decides to go to school to get her degree so she can go to Santa Monica College. So,
That's all they have.
That's all they have.
Okay, alright. So I guess as usual, we kind of start off with things we liked about the show. I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
I liked the mother-daughter relationship between Nikki and Kim. They were just really like, I don't know, like they just had a good like friendship as well as like mother-daughter relationship. You know, I think they both kind of respected each other's space in a good way. I thought they got along very well, and like it showed on screen. Like they always had their moments every episode.
Yeah.
So I just really appreciated like that, seeing that dynamic kind of grow on screen and kind of change throughout the episodes.
Yeah. Another thing that I like, because I did also like their relationship, because I thought it was interesting because they weren't quite mother-daughter. They weren't quite friends. They were also like classmates essentially too. So I liked that.
But the other
thing I wrote that I liked was I liked the recurring bit of Nikki just making up long months to say she'd been pregnant.
Yes.
She was like, yeah, and I carried you for 19 months, and I was like,
yeah.
And then I was like, oh, she's just doing that mom thing where she's just like, I carried you for 26 months, and then like at one point, I want to say Stevie's mom was like, what?
Yeah, I think it got up to like 36 or something.
Yeah,
crazy. She was like, huh? I noticed that part too.
I loved that bit.
So I guess my next thing was honestly a separate shout out for Nikki. Like, she was just really funny, and I thought every episode kind of had that one scene toward the end where she just kind of dragged whoever, you know, and I just, like, those scenes were always funny. Like, anytime you tune in, like, you're kind of guaranteed one of those scenes, and I really liked that.
Oh, I also said Kim was still very amusing, because if you don't know, The Parkers is kind of like the spin-off of Moesha, which we talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Kim was still very funny from her Moesha days, and I just liked her a lot.
Yeah, no, I would actually agree with that too. I guess kind of the final thing, or I guess not the final thing. I have a couple more things, but like I think we have to talk about the professor. Professor, what's his last? Ogilvy?
I literally don't know.
Ogle something, but I thought it was just funny. Like the interactions with him were just funny. Like the running gag of Nikki being like obsessed with him. I just thought it was funny, you know. But then at the same time, I liked how like Nikki was like pretty secure in her relationship life, you know. Like I guess she kind of joked around with the professor and everything, but like for the most part, like it wasn't like she was going through like heartbreak after heartbreak. We were seeing that every episode. Like she kind of was on her shit in that department, you know, like in a certain way, you know. So I thought it was funny though. I did think it was funny.
Okay. I wasn't the biggest fan of the relationship, but that's a whole separate thing.
Yeah, I thought it got funnier as it went along. I don't know. Like honestly, first episode I thought I was gonna hate it. I was like, all right, this is gonna get annoying quick. And of course, like I've seen some of the episodes, and I really thought I wasn't gonna like it, but like toward like the middle of the season, like they just started really exaggerating it. Like I think once they started doing that zoom car effect, like every time, like the screeching tires every time. I think that's when I was like, all right, this is just kind of funny now. But yeah, I thought it was kind of funny.
I wasn't the biggest fan, but that's a whole
I see that side too. I definitely see that side.
That's a whole separate issue. I think the last thing I said was the pilot episode was just really good and encompassed everything I actually liked about the show, because we'll get into our dislikes later. But I thought the pilot episode was like really strong from the moment where Kim and her mom come out wearing the exact same outfits, like all the way straight through. I thought the pilot was really strong.
Okay. I think the last thing I had was I I noticed this show had a lot of guest characters, and I actually really liked it. I thought it kind of kept the episodes like fresh and kept the I guess like not even character development, but kept the plots from kind of getting dry, which is I think one of like my least favorite parts about Moesha. I mentioned like I felt like nothing kind of happened, and like they were kind of going through like very like childish drama in a sense, whereas this one like just by virtue of other people being there, I thought they got into like a lot more interesting issues. So I kind of appreciated that part a lot. But
I can see that. My favorite guest star that they had was Kenan Thompson.
Oh,
I didn't know he was going to be there. It was the auction episode. And all of a sudden he showed up and I was like, Kenan?
Yeah.
And I was very excited.
I think my biggest surprise was Nick Cannon.
That
I was like,
crazy.
baby Nick Cannon? I was like,
Okay.
whoa.
I was fine with Nick Cannon, but the reason I wasn't as excited for him was because I don't know when it'll come out, but we would have just seen Drumline recently, and I'm still a little hurt from Drumline. So
that's why I was excited. I was like, it's probably like what they saw, like, we need you for Drumline. You know?
I can see that. I can see because he was good, but I was still like kind of butthurt from Drumline. So I was like,
I could see that. Not the best feelings for that one.
And again, I don't know when that's gonna come out, but you'll hear all about Drumline.
I think it's around the same week, to be honest. But
oh my gosh. So things we didn't like.
You wanna
/
start?
Problematic stuff, I guess.
Yeah, you can start for this one.
Okay. I will say things I didn't like. Okay, so speaking of the relationship between the professor and Nikki, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Like, I understood it was exaggerated and everything, but I think the part that I didn't like was that they weren't really a will they, won't they couple. And they didn't have any, like, it's weird because they have good chemistry as people, because, like, when you watch the show, at the end, there's, like, little bloopers at the end where they're, like, talking and everything. And they have good chemistry there, but I feel as though there's too much of him actively disliking her for me to, like, be into it.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, this isn't will they, won't they? Because, like, I was thinking about it. I was like, and it isn't even just because that the woman is the aggressor or the, like, one who's into it. Because I was thinking, I was like, one of my favorite shows is The Nanny. And Fran Fine is essentially, like, the aggressor in her relationship with Mr. Sheffield. But I was like, why don't I hate that one? And I think it's because there's still, like, an inkling that he likes her. And in the Parkers, at least right now, there's no real inkling that he likes her. So it's kind of just, like, this really loud, aggressive woman, like, oh, make a baby with me or whatever. And he's like, oh. And there's no, like, there's not even, like, the slightest bit putting them together. It's kind of like just a...
Yeah, there's really not. And I guess they kind of tease it a little bit, because they put him in, like, relationship-type circumstances. Like, there's, like, a couple times he gets, like, hurt.
Yeah.
Or, like, the time they were in, like, quarantine together. It's, like, there's little things like that, but it's still, like, very clear he's not into it.
And those are, like, blink and you miss them. But, like, there's just too much of not mutual for me to like it.
Yeah. And I guess, like, full disclaimer, one other thing that swayed me, literally right before I started watching this, out of nowhere on Twitter, I come across the tweet, and it's a picture of, Professor Ogilvy, and I think one other guy. I don't know if who the other guy is, but it was like, I think the reason my confidence is so high is because TV had me thinking these two guys had all the girls falling all over them. And so, like, after seeing that tweet and then watching the show, it was like, I just thought it was really funny.
I didn't see that tweet.
Yeah. That's like a personal disclaimer to why I thought it was kind of funny.
Okay.
But, I did definitely get notes of, like, harassment as well.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Like, those were kind of
especially kind of towards the end of the season. I was like, this is getting a little harassy. Yeah. And if it was, like, the other way, no one would like it.
Yeah,
so that was part of my thing. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I definitely get that too.
Get away. What didn't you like?
I guess the main thing I thought there was, like, a couple episodes, I think there were, like, two in particular, that just very, like, transphobic and homophobic.
I got that too.
And yeah, it, like, kind of came out of nowhere, and, like, they almost didn't even, like, directly, address it, or, like, it was just really weird how they, like,
I know exactly which episodes they are too.
Yeah.
The transphobic one was the one where Kim moves out.
Yeah.
At the end, they just randomly did this little thing where it's like, did you know that they used to be man? And then it was like this whole thing, and I was like, there's like 30 seconds left in the episode. What are we doing?
Because I was sitting there like, are they like I guess it's 2020. I'm going in with like a 2020 mindset.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, are they gonna put a positive spin on this? And then like they literally do nothing with it, and I'm like, all right, it's still kind of in the background, I guess. And then at the end, they just like, I don't know, I don't even know what they did at the end.
I don't
They
know
just
what
kind
they
of
did.
like, here's the butt of the joke, boom, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
I think that's
You know.
interesting that we're all watching these with the 2020 mindset. I think
Yeah.
that's what makes this so interesting.
it really does. It really does.
But the
um,
homophobia one was the Since I Lost My Baby when the professor dates a new girl and they went to
Yeah.
that gay
Yeah.
lesbian bar or whatever.
Yep.
I was like,
And even again, like there were moments where they like could have done something, you know.
yeah.
And Della, I think, is the one friend. Like she was like, I guess a little less like everyone else was like physically disgusted by it.
Yeah.
And I was
She was like, a drink's a drink. Whatever.
yeah, exactly.
And
I'm
I was like, that's the closest we're getting to acceptance right now.
yeah,
So
exactly.
thank
She
you
was the
so
only one
much.
kind of viewing them as just regular actions. Like if someone
Yeah.
talks to you, you can talk back regardless of
Their sexual orientation.
or
Like,
anything. You know, so
it's okay.
yeah, those two episodes were just kind of weird how they like chose to kind of focus in on that, but then
Yeah.
like do nothing with it.
That was
You know,
very odd.
like nothing with it either way. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't do anything with it either.
Yeah, so
I guess the last thing I'll say, well, this isn't even a thing I didn't like. I just found it weird that they got rid of the original neighbor to bring the girl from Moesha in.
when did this happen?
They got rid of. I like looked this up because I was
Oh.
like, where did she was like, who was she? The original neighbor in like the first few episodes, they have a neighbor who's like borrows money from them or whatever and disappears and everything, and she's supposed to be Nikki's friend. And then randomly she disappears, and they bring back the woman from Moesha who like was a Moesha's adult friend who ran the den. I can't remember her name, but they randomly brought her in, and I was like, what? I just thought that was weird.
Yeah, so I guess this goes into the next thing I didn't like. It was very sitcom-y and like there was literally no consequences to anything, so it's easy to like not pay attention.
Yes.
But like every once in a while, I felt like I wasn't paying attention. Then I'd come back and have no idea what was going on, especially with all the guest characters. Like I would like not be paying attention. Like the theme song would come on or something. Like I just missed like a minute block. And
All of a
then
sudden,
next thing I know, there's a new character on screen. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very
very much a
sitcom and
sitcom.
like no consequences anywhere. Like I think like parts of that, there's a good side to that coin, but the bad side is like things like this happen and I don't even notice.
Yeah.
You know. So
But they switched her out, and I was like, she looks familiar, and I was like, because she's from Moesha, that's why.
okay, yeah.
Part of me wishes I'd watched Moesha in the 4th season, because that's when they have the backdoor pilot. Like, you know
okay.
how when shows you're gonna spin off, you just make
Yeah.
one random episode, a pilot episode for a new show.
Yep.
But yeah, I kind of want to see what that was. We'll see.
Okay.
So, if we're done with things we didn't like.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, in general, there's fat phobia in here.
Yeah.
Because Nikki's a bigger woman, and I don't think there's so much with Kim this time.
I don't think there is. Yeah.
I don't think there was
I
as
didn't
much.
notice it.
I think the reason is because compared to Nikki, Kim was skinny.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that's why. But there was like general fat phobia a little bit, especially in that Big is Beautiful. I understand the Big is Beautiful episode where Kim's boyfriend does like a bunch of fat jokes in his set. Yep, Nick Cannon. Where he does a bunch of fat jokes in his set, and I guess all the fat people there unite and go against it.
Yeah.
But it was kind of weird to me because I'm like, you guys don't make fat jokes explicitly, but you still do the kind of thing where it's like, she's fat, she's undesirable, and we're definitely gonna tell you about it,
Yeah.
and all that other stuff. So
Yeah, the fat phobia was like, it was almost like kind of subtle for the most part. But
Yeah.
that episode, they like decided to bring it to the forefront,
yeah,
and not one of my favorite episodes. Like I did like Nick Cannon. I like
I
seeing
will
Nick
say
Cannon.
what I liked about that episode was when they went back and forth heckling him. I
Yeah.
loved that, but I didn't like her stand-up set at the end because I was like, you're just
stand-up set was
preaching.
weak, and it was very
really
weak.
bad.
Once she got on stage, it was weak. But when she was like going at it as a
Yeah.
like audience member, I liked
Yeah,
it as well.
and the jokes weren't even the best when she was going at it, but it was like a different energy, and it was like
Yeah.
fun, and it was just heckling him, and I loved it. But like when she did her set, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then she still won because main character, and I was like,
Yeah.
this was weak.
Yeah.
This was whack. Okay.
Yeah, I guess the one last thing I didn't like was the
Still on
pseudo cliffhanger at the end. Like, literally, no consequences for any of the episode, and then, like, last episode they have her getting married and like stay tuned. I'm like,
Kim getting married.
at this point I don't care. I didn't even know that she had a guy at this point. Like,
she had a guy, but I was like,
for
I
how
could never
long
pick it
though? I
out.
thought like every episode it was kind of someone new.
I could never pick out who her guy was.
Wow.
Like, he only like slid it in every once,
Yeah.
at least to me. And like we said, this was kind of like one of those sitcoms where you're like, if you don't pay attention, you're
Yeah.
whatever. But then every once in a while, you're like, who is that?
Yep.
But yeah.
Alright.
Want to get into ratings now?
Yeah, ratings. This one I gave it a 3.
Okay.
You know, I did like it. I thought it was fun. But yeah, like I don't know. It's a 3. Like, it's not a perfect show. You know, like, again, I don't know if I'm the biggest sitcom person.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like, I feel like it has to be a really good show for me to just sit down and like watch it with it having like very little plot going on.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a 3 for me. I did enjoy this one.
Okay. I gave it a 2.5, and it's honestly only a 2.5 because Kim saved it for me.
Yeah.
Because it was very much like Moesha, because it spun off of Moesha. So it was very campy, corny, cheesy, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But my main problem with it was that even in the little blurb that I read in the beginning, they kind of make it seem like a college sitcom, and they're going to be doing college-y things,
Yeah.
but they're not.
At all.
And, like, that's why I like the pilot so much, because it kind of showed that potential of, like, you're going to college with your mom, and you're, like, trying to make your own way, and your mom's trying to make her own way, and maybe occasionally you'll do the same thing, and you'll, like, realize that maybe this works for me, but not her, or maybe it works for her, but not me, and all that other stuff interspersed with, like, classes and all that good stuff. But after the pilot episode, it wasn't that. It was almost like a regular it was almost like 2 different sitcoms put together, where Kim was kind of in a college sitcom, because she was, like, a college-age woman coming into her own.
Yeah.
She had, like, classes, and they did the thing with the textbooks that, like, gave me PTSD, because I was like, I know that struggle so well.
Yeah.
But, like, Nikki was in a different sitcom of her own, which was just, like, a regular sitcom, because she kind of wasn't even in the college backdrop that much, except with the professor.
Yeah.
And I feel as though most of her storylines revolved around her liking him so much, especially towards the back half of the season. So it was kind of like, I thought it would be a college-y sitcom, and then it wasn't. And then I was bummed out because it was like 2 separate sitcoms jammed together, and it wasn't the best for me.
I wonder how that gets in later seasons.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Just because she
too.
does move out toward the latter half of the season.
And I liked that, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
let's keep this going. And I found it a lot of times. I was like loving the Kim parts, but then when Nikki came on, I was like, we're not even doing college things. It's just a sitcom.
Yeah. I don't think Kim even colleged enough for me. Like,
She didn't call it, but at least I think it was more interesting because she at least had like
yeah. She
friends
had like
and
college
stuff
age
like-
friends. Like, her
Yeah.
friends were very college-y, but and then every once in a while I guess she'd go to like a party or something.
or
but,
like the sorority people
yeah,
where they
yeah,
go.
yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
Last question.
Yeah.
Are you gonna watch the rest of the?
This one's like an easy no. Like, again, like there's no need for me to. Like, I honestly, I will say, I've gotten all the information I need out of this show. I think like I've seen it come on TV a lot, and so I've sat down and watched a couple episodes. But I think now that I know what's going on, because again, like it doesn't college that hard, so
Yeah.
like the setting just seems odd. Like, I always used to question why like the 3 of them were always in that building where they passed by Professor Ogilvy or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, I think now I have a lot more context. So, like, if it comes on and I sit down, I think I'll enjoy it a lot more. Like, I'll be prepared to enjoy it, you know, whereas before I'm like, oh, the Parkers is on, like, what else is on kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it gave me that, but, like, I will not, like, watch season 2 or 3. Like, I will not sit down and watch a season of this, you know?
That makes sense.
But, I think it is good as a sitcom and just kind of sitting in front of the TV for 30 an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, how about you?
Yeah, same. No. Same as Moesha. I have no need to watch the rest of this. If it's on, I'm not gonna like freak out. But yeah. And again, the college setting's so weird because they don't college enough.
They don't.
So it's like you actually don't even need to make this a college sitcom. Like, why bring it up? But
Yeah.
that's just my gripe with that. But yeah, that was the Parkers.
Yep. Getting a little long, so YouTube
Yeah.
housekeeping, like, comment, subscribe.
You can also suggest shows for us to watch. We watch TV and listen to music on Sundays, and on Tuesdays and Fridays, we watch movies. All of our socials will be linked in the description down below, and we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye! It is. That's why these past few times I keep forgetting.
Like, I get off easy. Like, comment, and subscribe. That's all I say.
I don't even say the same thing at the end, but I still, forget every once in a while. I'm like, what do
you also say, 6 things.
Yeah, I'm like, and you gotta comment, and this is when we're on, and this, and here's our personal, and we'll see you next time to catch up.
Like, why do I even say my part?